So class, in today's video we're going to talk about Unit 4, Monetary Policy. Well, the first thing that you need to know is some few terms. The first term is the contractionary policy. You also need to know expansionary policy. Contractionary policy is basically tight money, while the expansionary is easy money. Basically, these two terms, they're the opposite of each other. While the contractionary and the open market operation sell the bonds, the expansionary, they buy the bonds. The second term that you need to know is the reverse requirement, and the reverse requirement is basically a percentage of deposit that the bank must hold of the reserve that cannot be loaned out at all. The next term that you need to know is CD, also known as checkable deposit. And a checkable deposit, basically, you have in the checkable deposit. Basically, you have in your bank, you have money that could be withdrawn at any time as long as you have the checks. Next term that you need to know is money supply. Basically, money supply, there's three types of money. You have M1, M2, and M3. In M1, basically, it's 75% liquid. You have the traveler's check. You have also the checkable deposit, also known as the DD. In the M2, you have it consists of M1, and then M3 basically is the whole equation of it, with the M1 plus the saving account plus the checkable deposit, etc. Okay. Next thing that you have is your federal fund rate, also known as FFR. In the federal fund rate, this is where other banks borrow from other banks, but with an interest in the loan. Due to their, this allows them not to borrow from the Fed. An example will be Chase borrowing from Wells Fargo, or Wells Fargo borrowing from HFCU, and etc. Now we're going to start with the FRQ. And the first FRQ is asking us to once again define the federal fund rate. Basically, in the federal fund rate, once again, this is where you have the banks borrowing from other banks with an interest rate, and not having the federal, the Fed, they're not borrowing from the Fed. Again, Chase borrowing from Wells Fargo, or Wells Fargo borrowing from Chase, does not matter. The second one that they're asking us is, if the Federal Reserve wants to lower the federal fund rate, what open market operation would be appropriate? The most appropriate one for this situation will be the buy securities, also known as you're buying bonds. The third question is asking us, assume that the open market operation that you indicate in part B is equal to 10 million. So right away we have 10 million, which, since they are equal to the buy security, this will be your ER. And if the Federal Reserve ratio, also known as the reserve requirement, is 0.5, calculate the maximum change in the loan throughout the banking system. We also need to know another keyword is the banking system, because you are not doing it by one bank, you're doing multiple banks. Now, the first thing that you need to do is find the money multiplier. And in order to find the money multiplier, you get 1 divided by the RR, which in this occasion is 0.5. So 1 divided by 0.5, that's going to equal 2. After you get 2, you're going to multiply it to your ER, which is 10 million. And that's going to equal 20 million. After you get the 20 million, you would have been done if it was only one bank, but since there's multiple banks, keyword banking system once again, what you do is you're going to get the 20 million, and you're going to add it up back to the 10 million. After that, you have your maximum, which is 30 million, and that's the maximum they could loan out. Okay? I'm going to erase this quick. And the next problem, let's read this out. And the next problem is asking us that indicate the effect of the open market operation that you indicate in the part B on the nominal interest rate. Basically, what you have to do is know that buying the securities reduce the nominal interest rate. So that's the answer for D. And now for the answer for E, you have assumed that the federal ratio action result in some inflation. What will be the impact of the open market operation on the real rate of the interest? Now, since the effect of the open market operation indicating in part B, which we told you that it was buying the security because it's decreasing the real interest rate, then the result in some inflation impact on the open market action will be decreased more on the federal interest rate, since the operation of the real interest rate equals nominal minus inflation, which equals interest rate. And since in the first one it was already decreasing, if you add one more time for the decrease, it's obviously going to be decreasing. So if you already have the real interest rate decreasing and you adding more to the decrease in the inflation, then the open market interest rate will be decreased more. So to conclude it, real interest rate fall, the Fed buying reduce the nominal rates, and the inflation further reduce the real rates. Thank you so much for this lesson and have a great day.